across one of these lovely toolboxes. If you do, you're going to want a key to open it up to see what kind of goodies are inside. I'm really excited to take a look. Let's go ahead and open it. Yes! So on the top of the toolbox here, we have various different types of sockets. We have 3/8 drives, hex, Torx, large 1/2-inch drive hex, short hex for the 3/8. We have E-Torx sockets here. Then we have 1/4-inch different size sockets over here on the right. In this first drawer, we have our 3/8 ratchet with different extensions, 3/8 drive, deep and shallow impacts, metric and standard, 1/4-inch ratchet with extensions, 1/4-inch shallow and deep metric and standard sockets. The second drawer down, we have basically the same thing, but for 1/2-inch drive ratchet, extensions, deep and shallow metric and standard impacts, with some other various types of adapters, reducers, swivels, universals. Down here in the third drawer, we have combination wrenches, again, standard and metric. Here we have some pry bars, Phillips and straight head screwdrivers. In this drawer we have some hammers, different types of pliers, vice grips, some different types of punches and chisels. And then here in this last drawer we have our impact wrench, die grinder, blowgun, test light, an 3/8 drive air ratchet, and then we should have a meter over here, but it's being currently used. So when you get a toolbox, just make sure that you run through the toolbox real quick, make sure all the tools are here, and when you check it back out, same thing, make sure all the tools are there, and the teacher will check out the box and return the key. Now, let's go ahead and talk about this 1/2-inch drive impact wrench real quick. Okay, let's run through this 1/2-inch drive impact wrench real quick. As you can see here, there is a position indicator for forward direction, which means that the anvil will be spinning to the right to tighten. And over here, there's another indicator that this is moving to the left, which would be to loosen a bolt. The position selector here pushed into the forward position means that this impact wrench is in the tightening direction. If you push it to the rear, now you can see that the position selector is towards the back, which indicates that this impact wrench is in the reverse direction. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Now, the other thing to note is that on this impact wrench, there is an adjustment for the power settings. If the arrow right here is all the way to the left, this is in the position setting 1, which will provide a lower torque output in the forward direction. If you turn this knob, now the arrow is in the middle, indicating the second power position. If you turn the knob all the way over and the arrow is to the right, now this is in the third setting, which will provide the most amount of torque output. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the numbers that this impact wrench can generate. Okay, so I watched a video where these guys, they tested this exact impact wrench, and what they did was they used various meters to measure the bolt tension that was applied to the bolt, and then extrapolated the torque value for what the impact wrench was generating from that. Over here, what they did was a 15-second test, so they just let the impact wrench be working for 15 seconds, then they measured the average torque that was generating. This specific impact wrench can generate in the forward position on average 860 feet-pound of torque, and in the reverse direction 1,019 feet-pound of torque on average. This is called your working torque, and this is called your breakaway torque. Now over here, what they did was they just measured the impact wrench, allowing it to strike 10 times, and then they measured the average torque that was generated from that so they could measure how much torque the impact wrench was generating per blow in the different power settings. So as we can see here, we have first power setting, second power setting, and third power setting. Lowest, middle, and highest. So in the forward position, they generated around 325, and in the highest one, they generated around 421 feet-pound of torque. Now that's per blow of the anvil, and this impact wrench can generate 1,270 blows per minute. In the reverse direction, the different power settings don't really apply that much, because in reverse, it's going to go with the maximum amount of torque that this can generate, which would be your breakaway torque. Okay, now that we've seen how much torque this half-inch drive impact wrench is capable of outputting, let's go ahead and see what that looks like. Now I got this set on the power adjustment number 3 setting, so this will provide the most amount of torque output in the forward direction. The max output of this gun, as we've seen, was around 860 feet-pound of torque. Safety first. And as you see, if you use the full amount of the impact wrench and let it output its maximum amount of torque, it will snap a lug stud right in half.
King Kong ain't got nothing on me.
Now that we've discussed the impact gun, let's go ahead and talk about another pneumatic or air-driven tool that we'll find in our toolbox. This will be our die grinder from the bottom of the box. This guy spins extremely fast. This one's rated for probably around 30,000 RPM, and it has this arbor where you can put different pads. The different types of pads that come are a green one. It's very abrasive. This is one of the most abrasive pads that we have. It would be for removing a lot of heavy rust and scale. Then we have a brown nylon pad that would be for general use. It's going to remove a lot of rust, but without actually removing material from the object that you're trying to clean. Then the last type, we have this white bristle type of brush. This is for more delicate work. Typically, you can use these for a lot of different things, but usually I go with this guy for a lot of general purpose type stuff. So before we demonstrate this, I just want to talk real quick about pneumatic tools. For pneumatic tools, you're supposed to oil these daily. To do that, you would press down the lever to open up the valves inside of here, and then you would take a little bit of pneumatic oil. It's a very light type of oil. All you're going to do is just put a couple drops down inside of there. By having this open, it allows the oil to go through this fitting and actually oil the rest of the tool. And you can kind of go like this a couple times to make sure that the oil is sitting down inside there. Now you're good to go. The last thing we need to do before we demonstrate this is obviously hook up some air. So let's watch this little part, and then that way we know how to do that. Okay, when we're ready to plug in our air line to our air line on the wall, what we're going to do is we're going to take the male end and we're going to insert it into this female adapter. You'll notice on the pipe there's a valve up here and a valve down here. When the valves are perpendicular to the pipe like this, or they're laying horizontal like this, that valve is shut. If we open up a valve like that, that allows the air to come in to this coupler, and then this bottom valve is still closed. Now why is that? Which one did I open? Well, the bottom valve below the coupler will be for moisture release. So if water gets in the air lines, all you do is you go like this, and it will release the moisture. You always keep this valve closed when you want air pressure in the air line. Otherwise, all the air pressure will bypass the air line and go straight out the bottom. So this is closed. You're not going to get any air pressure coming down to the air line at all. This is open. And go ahead and plug this in. Pull the collar back like this. And insert the air line, and now you're good to go. Okay, so the next thing we're going to demonstrate is how to use this die grinder. So you don't leave these things closed. When you're done with the vise on a bench, you open it so that way this isn't pressed up against there and this is really tight. So that way if I walk into it, it just moves. Now that I put this wheel bearing in the vise and I've made sure that this was tight, I'm going to demonstrate the different pads of a die grinder. And what you want to remember, since this is spinning about 30,000 RPM, you don't have to put a lot of pressure on with the tool. You're going to wear out your pad very fast if you apply a lot of pressure to the tool. Let the tool do the work. It'll remove material just by spinning as fast as it does. When you do this, you're going to want to wear safety glasses so that way you don't ruin your eyeballs. You only get one set. I'm going to take this brown nylon pad first, and to do that, all I'm going to do is put it into this arbor. It's going to spin. I hold this and tighten that guy down. I'm going to take my palm and just give it a spin. Make sure it's on there pretty tight. Now listen to how fast this spins. You don't need to go that fast for most of the stuff that you're going to do. Let the tool do the work like this. See how well that cleaned that up that fast? And I was only going about a quarter of the way down for its total speed. You need to do something like this. Otherwise, if you go like this, it's going to go all crazy on you. You don't want to do that. This is the green, really abrasive pad. It's very aggressive. I'm going to demonstrate this real quick. See the sparks flying off and see how shiny that is? This is a good pad to use if you're going to remove a lot of heavy rust and scale. Depending on what type of part you're using or that you're working on in the car, this might be a good idea, or the brown nylon pad might be a good idea. The other tool that we have to remove rust and scale would be a simple cordless drill and a wire brush or wire wheel. I like the wire brushes and wire wheels because they don't wear down as fast as the pads for the die grinder, therefore spending less money to replace them all the time. This will do the same job as the pads, just a little differently, that's all. You would use this like this. So you removed rust and scale. Nice. Here are two examples of different size diameter wire wheels. The next tool that we have is a bench grinder. It has a wire wheel on this side and it has a stone wheel on this side. So as we note, when this turns on, this will spin in this direction. You do not want to have whatever you're cleaning pushing up like this. If you're pushing up on it like this and it catches and it flings this out of your hand, it's going to come up like that and it's going to poke you in the eye and it's going to really hurt and you're going to have a bad day. You want to hold it down like this so that way if it does catch, it just shoots and hits this guard and bounces down towards your feet. You always want to wear safety glasses when using this or that guy because, again, if one of these wire bristles flies off or something flies off and it hits you in your eyeball, you're going to have a bad day. Okay? So I'm going to show you how to use this. Then we're going to talk about this guy real quick after I show you this. We're going to take this rusty bolt right here. And we want to clean this up so we can put it back into our vehicle. And we're going to do that using a bench grinder with the wire wheel. Obviously, now our rusty bolt has turned into a nice clean one. The threads are nice and clean, free of rust and corrosion. This equals that. As we can see on the stone wheel for this bench grinder, there is a lot of material embedded into this wheel, and that's all this shiny stuff right here, and the rust and all this shiny metal impregnated into the wheel. You can use it like this, however, it's not very effective and your grinding process is going to take a lot longer and it's going to generate more heat onto whatever you're grinding. The other thing that if you grind in the middle or on the edge or wherever all the time, you're going to wear a groove into this wheel and then it no longer will be a nice flat surface to grind something. If it has a big cup in it because someone's always grinding in the middle and you can put something on here, you're gonna have a bad day. So, to get rid of this, we use what's called dressing stone. It's got a couple really aggressive metal wheels on here that spin. And all you're going to do is you're going to put the flat parts of this onto the flat parts of the guard right here, and then press it into the stone wheel as it's spinning, and go back and forth, and it will dress this, get rid of all this contamination, and also true it up so it's flat. I'm going to demonstrate that now. As we can see, that dressing stone removed most of the impregnated metal and that was into the stone wheel. Now we have a nice, clean, fresh surface, and it's also squared up so that way if we go to grind something, we grind it efficiently and we grind it straight. One more thing to note is that you'll note this guard right here, how close it is to the wheel. This should be about 1/8 of an inch away when it's properly adjusted, and you adjust that with this mechanism right here. You want this to be about 1/8 of an inch away, so that way if it was way back here, you could stick your finger in and your finger will get chopped up by this stone wheel. You're gonna have a bad day. One last example I'm going to do is just grind the head of this bolt. I don't really need to, but I wanted to grind something, so I'm going to show you how you do that and what the result is.